Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm once again traumacasting on Rumble, Utizzle, and Kick. So, yeah, I did get some viewers on Kick the other night, last night. Well, hope you all come back and welcome aboard if you do. But anyway, folks, we got a lot to talk about. Subpoenas canceled on Darth Brennan. What is that all about? Is he trying to wiggle off the hook? Well, I'm going to go over that and a lot more things that we're going to discuss and how these people operate. But anyway, what do? I play videos while people come in and settle down with a nice cup of coffee, a cold brouhaha, or an adult beverage, maybe a glass of wine. How about that? And then what will we do? We will be like butter. And do what? Get on a roll.
Corralled into this box where we either have to hate Vladimir Putin and believe everything evil that's said about him and love Ukraine, and there's no in between. And that reminds me a lot of you're either a white supremacist or you go with the Democrat narrative on everything under the sun.
The most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today, white supremacy.
And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white.
I mean, there's as much interference here as you could possibly imagine. Before you even get to Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, John Kerry, Mitt Romney, and all of their children who earn millions from Ukrainian gas companies. These days, it's hard to believe anything because they've lied about COVID, they lied about Russia collusion, they lied about the Ukraine impeachment trial, and there's so much more going on in Ukraine that nobody is talking about.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
My job as a journalist is to try to understand what is the truth here. I don't like being lied to, and we're being lied to on an epic scale. When we're told your only choice is you have to be 100% with Zelensky.
Slava Ukraine.
The puppets who you can find on the internet in black stilettos and leather pants. Zelensky was selected, like so many of our leaders. And honestly, with big tech and with election fraud these days, we don't know how many leaders all around the world have been selected for us and weren't actually voted in.
How to build back better.
We have to build back better.
Build back better.
If Donald Trump gets the Republican nomination, there are many of us that will move heaven and earth to ensure he doesn't win.
We are fighting the same battles all over the world. To pretend that this war is about Russia and Ukraine is a barefaced lie. Putin has been warning for 15 years that he is not going to stand by while the globalists take over the world, build bioweapons facilities and whatever else they're doing in Ukraine. Ukraine has been a center of money laundering for many of the leaders in this country. Billions of US dollars have been laundered through Ukraine, and we say nothing about it. Does nobody question these things? We have an idiot like Lieutenant Colonel Vindman.
Mr. Vindman. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, please.
Do you always insist on civilians calling you by your rank?
And sits there as a lieutenant colonel. He didn't even make colonel. And he's telling the president of the United States what his policy should be. You have a traitor in the form of Maria Yovanovitch, who was Obama's ambassador, who's telling Ukrainian government officials, don't listen to the will of the American people.
In his July 25th phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky, the president badmouthed Yovanovitch, calling her bad news.
I was shocked, absolutely shocked.
And then she's given a cushy job for life at Georgetown University, and we're told that the president of the United States cannot say to his foreign counterparts that we want you to look into something.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. And they put in place someone who was solid.
So much hypocrisy and dishonesty here, and Ukraine is at the center of it all.
You want to play games? Okay. Come on. Okay. You want to play rough? Okay. Say hello to my little friend.
Storm zone.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
And he's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give President tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and HE in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. If the deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
Folks, how is everyone tonight? I hope you're doing well. All of you are doing well. I certainly hope so. Look at Brennan there, isn't he a nasty looking thing? Ha ha ha! Did y'all hear about the subpoenas getting canceled? What happened there? Is he trying to get off the hook? Oh, what's going on? Deep state shenanigans? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I think I know. But anyway, Darla's here. Let me see. My chats keep jumping. Can you all see the chats on the screen? Tammy's here. Todd's here. Wayne's here. Give me a thumbs up. Cole's here. Rebecca. Sissy. Nice to see you. Sherry. All right, Todd, Sherry. Miss Minder Sue. How are you, Miss Minder Sue? Tammy's here. Cole here, the younger gang. Ha ha ha. Yes, make sure you give me thumbs ups like Robin did. Right, Robin? I hope you did. Melinda, did you give me a thumbs up? So, hey, and anybody on Kick, somebody sent me a message on Kick. It's in code, I think. That's why I was asking if you all could see the chats on the screen. Somebody said they show on the screen. Oh, no, that's a repeat. All right, Sissy, all right. Randy, how you doing? That the chats show on the screen and then they disappear after the live stream. But they're on the screen while I do my live. I didn't know that. So who am I missing? I think I got... Let's see. My lurkers. Hello, lurkers. Yeah, just relax. They're adaptive commitment. Whoa, what's that say? Got some kind of stretched out words there. I don't know, buddy. Try to get on with me on X. I'm under Mountain Man. Mountain Man 2 or... there it is. Adaptive commitment, commitment he or something. I don't know. Make you great again. I don't know. Nice to meet you. Mac, how you doing? Haha, Sparky's here. All right. Nice to see you. Let's see. Who else is rolling in? Robert's here. Let's see. Let me go down the line. Remember I had somebody give me the devil about calling people's names out. Hi, Elva. How you doing? What am I supposed to do? Just say, hi, everybody. Might get to that point if we get a lot of people. Hi, Flannel Cheese. How you doing? But, yeah, some people, they have a couple of people helping them with the broadcasts, and they can tag team calling people out. But I'm a one-man band, as you all know, right, Pappy Shoe Bears? Ha, ha, ha. So anyway, I'm seeing, does anybody know what this is about? Renee, nice to meet you. Devin, how you doing? You just put a message up, Devin. What? Woo. Yeah, there you go. Blow them kisses. But anyway, what do y'all think this commitment? I mean, these subpoenas being canceled, huh? Are you worried about it? I'm not. I'll tell you why. We got Joe DeGenova in charge of that. And it turns out there was a bit of an upheaval, is why Joe DeGenova came into the picture. Let me find out where this, oh my gosh, Elizabeth Warren, what do I got to look at that for? They're still around. You can't get rid of them. They're like a carbuncle. So anyway, here we go. At first blush, you would say, oh, they have got a weak case. There's something really bad going on, right? Thank you, Tammy. I'm glad you appreciate me. Let me get my bombs ready. Especially since I got his face on the screen. One of them might drift over there where Trump is, but he can handle it. It takes a second for my bombs to upload because I want to thank Mike and Bev for starting off the week with Buy Me a Coffee. Did it go off? Kaboom! We're in the third week. Oh, yeah. Pow! The man takes these little time to get going. I got my bullets. Pow, 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 pow. Yeah, I don't usually use my bullets, but I got my exclamation point, my question mark. What? All right, that's good. I quit playing around. I could have been up 15 minutes earlier if it wasn't for you know what. But I ain't gonna get into that. Man, I was mad. But anyway. This pops up in my feed right here. I tell you about these stories they put up, whether you want them or not. John Brennan probe. Justice Department removes lead prosecutor. A career Miami federal prosecutor. She resisted. Wait a minute, what does that mean? How are you going to have a grand jury and your prosecutor is not down with what's going on? Is working, slow walking, working against you? Is that why we've taken so much time to get where we're at? But they got removed. Removed her. Her name was Maria Meditas Long, a career prosecutor. Oh, okay. The left always has more weight compared. A senior White House official. I told you how they sit there and hang on, administration after administration, just like termites. Okay. So anyway, this career prosecutor leading the investigation into former CIA Director John Brennan, following her concerns about the legal strength of a potential case. Sources told CNN. Oh, yeah, we believe them. And AP News. She was removed for resisting pressure to act faster. Well, apparently subpoenas were issued. And they've been retracted. They've been canceled. But subpoenas were issued after she was fired or removed. If you notice that one article is 6 days old. The subpoenas were issued either right when she got canned or right after. Right after. Joe DeGenova, we talked about him. You know, he's 81 years old. His wife is Victoria Townsend. We talked about them many times in the past. Patriots. He's a tough guy. I just had a sip of my coffee. Boy, that's good. But anyway, he was sworn in Monday. Right, folks? Sunday's program, I talked about it. Hi, Candace Cleanup. How you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, I can yeah. Thank you, Miss Mindersue, for putting the booms in. And Monday morning he gets sworn in. Sunday we talked about it. Tuesday morning, the subpoenas get trash bailed. So how does the media treat it? Well, they're right now inculcating into people's minds that it's a weak case, right? That they're getting this seasoned veteran prosecutor does not think there's enough there for John Brennan to be. John Brennan's on CNN giving interviews and always treated like an expert. I didn't get the woman who wrote this article, but it's just a page after paragraph after paragraph of babble and bibble. But anyway, I just got some salient points. In reversal, prosecutors who are trying to establish a perjury case against John O'Brennan, the former CIA director, have rescinded subpoenas issued just days ago. Well, Joe DeGenova wasn't sworn in until Monday. This happened Tuesday. That had required witnesses to testify before a grand jury in Washington, according to people familiar with the matter. Oh, that means the Trump administration is scared and they don't have a solid case. That's what they want people to think. The withdrawal on Monday night. Oh, he didn't even wait till Tuesday morning. He was sworn in Monday and trash bailed the subpoenas that day, which the Justice Department had issued over the weekend when Joe DeGenova had not been sworn in. Was a shaky start for a new phase of the investigation. So here we got the media. Oh, they're already off to a shaky start. They're throwing away their subpoenas. The department last week removed a career prosecutor who had been overseeing the matter, Maria Meditas Long, who was said to have objected to moving forward with it. Well, why the hell were you on the case, woman? There's a grand jury impaneled. The subpoenas were to come before the grand jury, but wait a minute, we're going to talk about that too. The department brought in an outspoken Trump loyalist. Oh, what about this woman that was kicked off? She was a career prosecutor. She wasn't loyal to anybody like Barack Hussein Obama or Joseph Robinette Biden. Joseph DeGenova, 81, to take over the inquiry into Mr. Brennan, which is part of a larger effort to investigate former officials who have scrutinized President Trump. Scrutinized? They didn't scrutinize him. They attacked him. Mr. DeGenova was formally sworn in, as I said, on Monday morning. And it is not clear whether he played a role in the issuing of subpoenas over the weekend. Well, what the hell do you think? Brennan plays by the book. Why would he issue subpoenas over a weekend when he's going to get sworn in Monday morning? You think he'd have time to read the subpoenas? Who all's getting subpoenaed? He hadn't even been sworn in. Sounds to me like somebody on the way out was trying to insert a poison pill. Just like in the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case. Okay? So, the article goes on to say, and he's country bad. Or no, he's not. Is he or isn't he? Mahmoud Khalil's out. But what about Kilmar? Several former national security officials involved in helping draft the assessment had agreed to cooperate for voluntary interviews with FBI agents. What they're talking about is that there was an assessment that Trump needed to be investigated and that he was a Russian collusion, blah, 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 all drummed up by Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. And Brennan knew it. He sat in on the meeting and made notes that said Hillary came up with this idea. But anyway, so they're saying former officials, other national security officials that helped draft that bogus assessment had agreed to cooperate for voluntary interviews with FBI agents, according to people familiar with the matter. Yeah, that's cooperating with FBI agents is one thing. Putting your rear end in front of a grand jury that's supposed to be secret is another. In my opinion, he's a thug and a criminal. Grand juries are not for thugs and criminals to put on a show. What would he bring with him? Lawyers. Practicing lawfare. That would cow and intimidate the layperson jury. You know what grand juries are made up of? People like me, people like you, people like the farmer down the road, people like the guy that runs the grocery store. That's who grand juries are made up of. And they're supposed to be protected. So who put these career thugs, who gave them the opportunity to enter into a grand jury room and lock eyes with innocent lay people? Get what I'm saying, folks? So, oh, great. Interviews with the FBI agent. You ever interview with an FBI agent? It could be a nice interview. It can be, you see that badge flip underneath your nose and, it could be, a little spooky. But that's different than putting on a mealy-mouthed dog and pony show full of fake legalese to deceive in front of a grand jury. That, in my opinion, that's tampering with a grand jury. Whoever issued those subpoenas. Did these, again, my opinion, did these thugs get the names of the people on the grand jury? What kind of information did they get? Anyway, I'll get into some more of that. So they act like, oh, well, they said they would talk to FBI agents, so we don't see what the problem is. Now, the Trump administration backed out of the subpoenas. So what's the problem here? They must have a real problem. No, they saw a trap, in my opinion. But after Ms. Meditis Long's ouster, the department issued subpoenas over the weekend requiring them to instead testify before a grand jury in Washington next week. This is now. Now, it's an impaneled grand jury. It's an active grand jury. The move took some veteran prosecutors by surprise. Normally, if a witness is willing to cooperate, FBI agents almost always want to interview them rather than have prosecutors question them before grand jurors without knowing what they will say. Well, whoever wrote this article, I'll give him a kudo for pointing that out. A Cupid doll. FBI interviews also avoid the extra complications raised by the prospect of discussing classified information before grand jurors. It also protects grand jury secrecy and the identity of grand jurors and the ability of witnesses to coerce, intimidate, or by any other way influence the grand jury beyond what the judge approves as evidence placed before the grand jury. That's why it went in the trash pail. So this is multiple subpoenas. When the subpoenas were pulled back Monday evening, law enforcement officials indicated that their plans had reverted to scheduling voluntary interviews, the people said. Well, I'm sure that is sparking another investigation. Okay? Because anybody with half a brain on a grand jury that knows anything about the C.I.A. knows that if they know who you are and they're a black hat, they can cause you problems. They can cause your family problems. Okay? How about your car all of a sudden speeds up and won't slow down and hit an oak tree? Ain't that a shame? How well-versed do you think these people that were subpoenaed, including John Brennan, how well-versed do you think they are in psychological manipulation? Would they be checked for recorders or surreptitious image taking? If I was on that grand jury, I'd be out the door if I saw him walking in. I don't want him knowing anything about me. Facial recognition. Well, we didn't tell them who they were. What'd you do, put bags over their heads? How many of you all seen him being interviewed? How many of you all seen him talking about things? And you can feel the menace coming off of him, dripping off of him when he wants it to. Then you have attorneys involved. Well, maybe not. Maybe he wouldn't be allowed to bring an attorney in. I'm sure they would insist, I want somebody sitting next to me. But these guys are so well versed in the finer points of the law and intelligence gathering that they could pepper they could confuse a layperson, invoke guilt, treat them like if they don't go a certain way, they're stupid. There's all kinds of things they can do. They would sit there and figure out the personality types. They would do personality profiles. Jury tampering has been a problem for decades and decades. Well, 100 years or more. Al Capone and... But they have it at a different level. In my opinion, they even have judges playing along. Just like when Sussman went on trial. Was it Sussman with the purple tie, purple revolution, color revolution? Durham's first loss, or one of his first losses. They picked jury members that knew AOC personally. And the judge went along with it. So there's all kinds of ways they can throw a trap in there and say, well, this grand jury's no good because this happened. Oh, never mind about the Wiccan witch on Trump's so-called grand jury in Georgia. Never mind who talked about grand jury information when you're prohibited from, should have been thrown right off the grand jury. She got on TV and talked about it. No, don't even talk about that. when they announced the charges before the grand jury had even finished? No, we won't worry about that. Believe me, if there was any shred in this grand jury that they could, any thread or shred that they could pile up, build up into a huge violation of their rights, and if they got a judge that'll play along with it, or if they fail, somebody on the appellate court. We know our judiciary is infested with Marxists. This guy here on the screen is a Marxist. No, I used to be a communist, but I threw my card away because I grew up. I was a young person. And I didn't say communist, I said Marxist. Muslim Marxist, okay? An M&M, that's what you are. Along with this thing right here. Who? We heard you were his mentor. Barack Obama charged the American people. Is this true? 14. Somebody's going to find out. Let me tell you that. 14 million for consulting during Joe Biden's term. In other words, he was in the West Wing running the country by auto pen. He was charging a fortune. So I am not concerned about the subpoenas being canceled. It means it's good news. They stopped a plan to contaminate that jury, that grand jury. You know, with Space Force, if they get the right messaging, Ms. What's-Her-Face, anybody involved in stuff like that, they're looking at, hey, what did I say? Prison advice. Better get you a good attorney to give you prison advice. Here you go. Babylon Bee was putting out some funny stuff. I haven't put up their stuff. I had it in the studio for a while. Democrats. Saving democracy requires one party to seize total power and rule forever. Don't you know that's how a democracy works? I hope you all got your screenshots ready so you can put this stuff on your meta page. You know, Trump got a couple situations. Like everybody knows about Keir Starmer and his disappointment in the UK. And we didn't talk about it last night. I had a video clip of it. This guy with the Navy getting SHIT canned, okay? Now, this was Ruski News. Pete Hegseth just gave him the heave-ho. But in both cases, Starmer and this guy, what's his name? He looks like Ed Asner, doesn't he? John Felon. Isn't that I don't know. Trump went out of his way to give them some encouragement. He even talked glowingly of John C. Felon, or Phelan. Phelan. I'll say it that way. United States Secretary of Navy John C. Phelan has been fired. This is Ruski News, so there's but that's really what happened. Effective immediately by the U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Undersecretary Hong Kong will become acting Secretary of the Navy. Why do you think he got fired? Have you all heard any rumors? And what do you know about Hong Kong? He's been called on before in the past. You better blow up them ships when I tell you to. The minesweeper. I was going to put up some Sung Sao or whatever it is. I don't know if I still have them in my studio. I don't know. But what have y'all heard about why he left and who's replacing him? I think he wasn't going after what Trump told him to go after. And there are other things, too, that were happening that I hadn't seen reported in the U.S. news, but I will put it on the screen for you in a minute. After I have to give you a little background on Hong Kong. Did you know he was on the dive team? Let's see if anybody says it. See if anybody gets it. He may have been a leaker. Hi, Roland. How you doing? Cynthia, how are you? Shipbuilding. Oh, okay. Maybe so. I think he wasn't going after. Because right after he cans him, Trump puts out his order. Shoot to KILL. Right? Shoot to KILL. Here it is. I think this is it. I have ordered the United States Navy to shoot to KILL any boat. Huh? Small boats, though they may be, their naval ships are all, 159 of them, at the bottom of the sea. That is putting mines in the waters of the Strait of Hormuz. There is to be no hesitation. You think Hong Kong's going to hesitate? Hell no. Additionally, our mine sweepers are clearing the strait now. I am hereby ordering the activity to continue, but at a tripled up level. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. So this was literally the day after he cleaned out his desk. So apparently Trump was unhappy, and Hegseth was unhappy with the responses. Because they're doing everything they can to get a news bite, like boarding the ships and firing on a ship with their little boats, their little gunboats. I got a video of that. That's the one I had music. One of the ones had music on it. But let me show you this satellite picture that came out the day before. Let me find it. Daggone it. The day before this guy got fired. Holy cow. Oh, I have to find it. Came out the day before the guy got fired. And it's like, why aren't you blowing these things up? Here it is. Here it is. Sentinel-2 satellite imagery. All right. There's two pictures. I'll come back to them. Look at that. Swarm of boats. And you see the little rooster tails awake behind them. And here's another picture of them. Very clear, very high def for satellite imagery. Sentinel-2 satellite imagery from today. This was a day before he got fired. Shows a swarm of IRGC Navy fast attack craft returning to their bases north of the Strait of Hormuz after conducting patrols in the area. These vessels are likely linked to today's reported incidents. That's the one we talked about, the three ships, including the seizure of container ships Appin Mendoza and MC Francesca, which I got a video. I'll play it, but I got to take the music out because I did get my video blocked in certain areas last night. But anyway, there they are. You can count. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can count them. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Send a warthog and go through there like a lawnmower. They could, Trump was probably looking at them like they'd lost their damn minds. Why didn't you blow these boats up out of the water? Because they're with the threats of mines and these little dinky boats. Here you got maybe half a dozen of them. But they're very easy to see. You can see them go right back to their base. And if they move at night, you know, there's ways to see them that way too. If they go to another hidden alcove or tunnel. But the best time to get them is right here. Because, you know, what are you looking at? Vessels like this. What's the speed? You get an A-10 Warthog and you'll chew them up. You know, you could even use an F-15. You want to get there in a hurry. And, you know, do a pass. I don't know. You could cause trouble and pretty damn quick. So anyway, it was the day after. Out of the blue, this guy gets fired. But like I said, Trump offered him an olive branch. A congratulatory olive branch. So here's the video. If I were Trump, I would be pretty damn frustrated too. When you have world shipping being impacted by these terroristic threats. And let me get something on the screen. Yeah, there they are. There they are. They're about 30 feet, maybe 25 feet. They can probably go 60. Not much more than that. Blow them up. We do it with the drug boats every day. Or we were doing it now every foggy day. So I would be mad too. And if I ordered him to take them out and then saw those satellite pictures and saw in the news about those vessels, yeah, I can see him getting canned. But anyway, I'll play this. I might have to take music down. Let me see how loud it is. That speaker's so daggone touchy. Look at him pulling up that monstrous boat. Wait a minute. I guess they radioed and somebody opened up the side hatch for him. Why? Why would you open up the side hatch for him? But, you know, maybe they had a missile. Look at the production value of this. The production value. They have a cameraman. I don't see him. Do you see him? The videos where we see people, our people boarding boats, you don't see this as like a little mini-series. Watch the interior shots. I don't know. Let me see. Where's the music at? There we go. Look how big that daggone thing is. This has got production value. This isn't just a boarding. This is a mini production. And Trump made it a point to say they weren't our boats. What do you want us to do about it? They weren't our boats. And they weren't involved with Israel either. So it's a provocative thing, you know? They've got some kind of trap set to try to get some bigger assets tight in that Hormuz Strait that they can go after. And Trump's not falling for it. But those little boats you see on the screen right there should be atomized. Atomized. So now he says going after minesweeper or mine laying boats. Well, who's saying they're not pitching over mine? Who knows? Let me see. AI. I don't know, Cole. Yeah. So anyway, so he's history. Here's the kind of stuff that's coming out about Keir Starmer. I mean, he was getting raked over the coals, you know, and I don't care for him. I'm not like I'm feeling sorry for him or anything. But yeah, they were calling him Dead Man Walking on Sky News. Holy cow, I can't find it. But anyway, you all know what's been being said about Keir Starmer. And, that's right. The business about his partner, his nominee, that he claimed he didn't know anything about Jeffrey Epstein, and then turned out he did know about Jeffrey Epstein, and this guy, is Trump just kind of mocking him like, oh, it'll be okay, Keir Starmer. You still got time to straighten it out. What do you mean? I'll put that up in a minute. But I didn't get a chance to put this up. When we were talking about Joe DeGenova, and we mentioned Sidney Powell. Well, here's Matt Gaetz. Somebody posted this. You know, we got a lot of talent out there. Put the fear of God and jail time into those hired local $10 per illegal ballot, well, whatever, working in the thousands of election center locations. President Trump is reportedly assembling a special election fraud task force with the Department of Justice. It's already formed. That will be tasked with investigating and prosecuting voter fraud in November's midterm elections to serve as both a deterrent and a means of accountability for any Democrat that is planning on cheating in this election. Well, look what they did in Virginia. I didn't read Trump's post about that, but he said it was a rigged, crooked election. I might put it on the screen. So anyway, yeah. It's included to have big names: Sidney Powell, Matt Gaetz, Ken Paxton, Rudy Giuliani, Alina Habba, and prominent attorneys who represented persecuted J6 events. There'll be a 24/7 tip line, and members of federal law enforcement. Well, I wish there was a tip line. If I was still. Yeah, I still had some contacts I had about 10 years ago. I could get some tips. But anyway, Matt Gaetz. Okay, we already talked about Sidney Powell. Now, as far as Rudy Giuliani, I have thought maybe he would pop in. But he's a victim. And so is Trump. That's why Trump's saying, I'm letting the Justice Department handle it. Like he said about Vindman, I'm letting the military handle it. Anyway, here's Keir Starmer. It's where they said, dead man walking, worsening Epstein scandal, threatens to bring down Starmer's government. Yeah, trust Sessions. I saw that just before I went out of the studio. Oh, here's something else. Put on your meta page. Mamdani Obama treat preschoolers to reading of the Communist Manifesto. Again, from the Babylon Bee. They were coming up with some good stuff. Here he is, Hung Cow. Hung Cow. Did you all... I'll try to go back and look. What do you all know about Hung Cow? Did he worked with the Navy. Okay. He was on a dive team. Do you all know what it's about? I'm going to blow your socks off if you don't know. Hold on to the top of your socks. Let's see. Nobody said anything. What did you know? What have you ever heard about Hong Kong? Our new Secretary of the Navy. He worked on a dive team. Roland, that's a good guess, Roland. Russia said they're going to open up part of Nord Stream to Europe, but Germany's in trouble. Germany's been causing trouble. And I think they're going to get starved out of some stuff from Russia. Right here. Told you to hang on to your socks. On this day in history, this was a post Hong Kao put up a year ago. July 21st, 1999, Navy divers recovered body of John F. Kennedy after plane crash. Why did Hong Kao repost this a year ago? 25 years ago today, the crew of the USS Grasp, ARS-51, recovered John F. Kennedy Jr. and his wife, Carolyn, and his sister-in-law, Lauren. I was honored to have made that dive. It wasn't about politics. It was about a family that was hurting, and we brought them closure. Hoo-yah, Navy divers. So, yeah. Interesting bit of history there. You know, here we go. Here's what Trump put about Keir Starmer. Short. Is this really to get him to buck up, or is he kind of giving him a message? Prime Minister Keir Starmer of the United Kingdom acknowledged that he, quote, exercised wrong judgment, unquote, when he chose his ambassador to Washington. I agree. He was a really bad pick. Plenty of time to recover, however, President Donald J. Trump. How do you recover? Plenty of time to do what? Maybe come clean? I don't know. I'm reading too much in between the lines. Plenty of time to recover. He's going to be meeting with Charles, King Charles, right? And Trump said something to the effect of that. Oh yeah, I think that we can improve relations. Definitely, it's possible that we can improve relations. So I don't know. Are they going to maybe put forth some evidence we hadn't known about? Was Keir Starmer put on the hot seat the way John Brennan wanted to put those jury members on hot seats by glaring at them and staring at them and having using $2,000 words and confusing them and tainting the evidence with his own twisted view or description of events. Not his view, his description. There's a difference. So I'm looking for this other investigation that's being opened up. Right here. I think this is it. Vows full probe into Epstein ranch abuse claims. Newsmax put this out. New Mexico's top prosecutor will push forward with a long-dormant investigation into alleged extrajudicial abuse at Jeffrey Epstein's oil ranch as survivors continue to demand accountability years after the financier's death. What's that popping up out of the ground? Not for nothing? You know, I had this story that I didn't get to put up. Let me find it. I think it had something to do with this guy getting canned with the Navy. Let me find it. And of all things, It was put up on Ruski News. Communications from one of our aircraft carriers. A letter home, whatever you want to call it. But it was from our aircraft carrier, okay? This was about, I think this was either Saturday or Sunday I read this. It was posted. Very close to that time. Abraham Lincoln on the American aircraft carriers Tripoli and Abraham Lincoln deployed in the Middle East for war with Iran. Food is running out. According to USA Today, a sailor told his family that crew members eat when they can and share food equally if someone gets more. According to him, morale, what did I say was the most important thing than anything? Morale will be at its lowest level. Marines are served half-empty trays for lunch, for example, with a small portion of minced meat and tortillas or a handful of boiled carrots, a dry meat patty, and gray processed meat. Listen, I don't care if they put too much starch in your underwear. You don't tell anybody what's going on. Okay? Did somebody get in trouble with this? They better. The food is tasteless. There's catastrophically little of it, and they're constantly hungry. It's heartbreaking, says a pastor who learned about the poor quality of food from a parishioner. We did the Berlin airlift, for God's sake. We were sending over 4 tons of food, 4,000 tons a day. Military families are worried about them and collect packages for them, but the delivery of mail to military postal codes throughout the Middle East has been suspended indefinitely since April, and packages in transit are currently in limbo. Somebody didn't get their Hot Pockets. A Marine from Tripoli told her family that the crew is saving food. There's no fresh vegetables and fruit. Oh my God, the coffee machine broke down. There is a shortage of hygiene products. You got water? Salt water's even better. We have the strongest army in the world. It shouldn't be the case that people are starving and can't receive mail on a ship. The only thing we've always been superior to our enemy is that we feed our people, said a 63-year-old military father who himself served in the Marine Corps. What I tell you about vets, you never know. You never know. They ought to know. He ought to know you don't do this. How about being in Frozen Chosen in Korea, okay? You bash open a K-ration, and you got to beat it with a K-bar knife just to break a frozen hunk off and eat it. Tripoli has been at sea for more than a month, and other ships much longer. On April 15th, the USS Gerald Ford broke the record for the longest aircraft carrier deployment since the Cold War, 295 days. But, you know, they're slick about it. They use a pastor. The reporters talk to these people. They have a father that was in the Marine Corps. Yeah, it's nonsense, Todd. The coffee machine's broke. Hi, Felix, how you doing? So anyway, I'm sure there are problems in the Navy. There's been problems in the Navy. As far as discipline and morale, pronounce it another way, moral. Any group of large people, but it's even worse now with the substandard way things have been run. With Obama and Sleepy Joe, and like-minded characters that came in to the service for benefits, paychecks, and not much more than that, and enjoy tearing down the current administration. Man, I'm looking at these videos. Well, the Ruskies did make comment about the aircraft carriers. Again, hi, Cynthia. Where did I see Cynthia? I know I saw it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, no cell service. Well, they got in trouble. If I could find it, they got in trouble for sending out signals with their Wi-Fi and stuff that gave away positions of vessels. Let me go through some of these. Here's the next talking point. This is from Ruski News. They're setting it up. You watch. They've tried it already. It may have already failed. But if they get a shot, they're going to try this. He's playing the news and market insider trading game. When everyone is panicking due to his threat to Iran and escalation, people will move in this direction in the market. Then later, the result will be better than expected. They will profit because they knew the unexpected outcome before it was officially released. And people who follow his bluff will lose. Now, when people think the ceasefire is going well and start to feel de-escalation and move in that direction, expect them to move against this again in the short term and unexpectedly resume the war. Again, the people who believed in his lie will lose and they will profit. This is classic insider trading game. That is going to be the next talking point. Let's see what this is. The aircraft carrier USS George W. Bush was spotted north of Madagascar on its way to the Arabian Sea due to a tilt-rotor aircraft. Here you're talking about the internet. With the call sign chosen to, taken off from its deck without disabling its transponder. Well, they're acting like it was an accident. Earlier, in an absolutely similar manner, the location of the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group was revealed, which was also exposed by a tilt-rotor aircraft with its transponder on, flying over the Arabian Sea. They're trying to say it's pilot incompetence. I just showed you where satellite imagery can show you a 25 or 30-foot boat, a bunch of them. We're talking an aircraft carrier. So, no, I don't think it's a big deal. At the moment, the George Bush and his carrier strike group have only a few days, this was a couple of days ago, to take up the necessary position to counter Iran. Thus, the U.S. will have already 3 carrier strike groups in the region, which will allow them to resume combat operations more effectively in the near future. No kidding, if no agreement is reached with Iran. But then they put this out. Administration note, it is noteworthy that the Axios, don't ever trust Axios, report from U.S. officials regarding the extension of the ceasefire for the next 3 to 5 days aligns closely with the timing of the USS George H.W. Bush's arrival in the Middle East and the CENTCOM combat zone. But they don't have any coffee. For crying out loud. So just shut everything down. Here's what Ruski News put up. A lot of the lefty news is supporting Iran in saying there is no divide. What Marco Rubio and everybody else is talking about is not true. We're unified. Well, Ruski News put this up a few days ago. New Iran Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei has given the green light for the Iranian delegation to depart for Islamabad with talks with the U.S., according to Axios. They didn't even go. So, is there a rift? Word on the street, not from places like Axios, is that the I don't know what to call them, the commission of clerics or the meeting of the mullahs or whatever they have. They've got like 80 wise men, so what they call, that are supposed to pick the next leader, and they're getting very angry that the Republican Guard is muscling them out and threatening them. If you can believe it, if you threaten a bunch of radical what do you call them? Clerics, you're a pretty bad guy, tough guy. Anyway, let's see what this is from President Trump. Iran is having a very hard time figuring out who their leader is. They just don't know. The infighting between the hardliners, who have been losing badly on the battlefield, and the moderates, who are not very moderate at all, but gaining respect, is crazy. We have total control of the Strait of Hormuz. No ship can enter or leave without the approval of the United States. It is sealed up tight until such a time as Iran is able to make a deal. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So yeah, according to Trump, they can't get all their you-know-what in one bucket. Oh, here's a guy with the answers. Right here. Here. Everybody, all the kids on, what does he broadcast on? Kick and Twitch? I get 7 viewers. And this guy makes hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's see what he's got to say. He must know what he's talking about. He makes all that money.
Social murder. And Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was
I got to start that over. I had the volume off from that daggone video with the production. But anyway, he's going to talk about the CEO that was Luigi'd. He's going to, you'll hear him.
Engels wrote about the concept of social murder. And Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder, the systematized forms of violence, the structural violence of poverty, the for-profit paywalled system of healthcare in this country. And the consequences of that are tremendous amounts of pain, tremendous amounts of violence, tremendous amounts of deaths. And that was a fascinating story for me, because Americans are very draconian about crime and punishment. They're very black and white on this issue. And yet, because of the pervasive pain that the private healthcare system had created for the average American, I saw so many people immediately understand why this death had taken place.
So I'm not giving him clout. I'm letting him embarrass himself with his own damn words. And I'm going to point something out. At the very beginning of the video, whoever edited this video, you'll catch it at the very beginning. He said Engels pointed out. Did they edit out the first part, Marx and Engels, or maybe not? But Engels is associated very closely with Karl Marx, okay? This is a communist, and those two dopey broads are the ones giving him clout. I wouldn't be in the same room with him. I would call him everything but a Christian. Every name I could think of. I wouldn't want to be within 10 feet of him or 100 feet of him. So, yeah, his saying is because the healthcare system is the mess that it is, that guy deserved to get one in the back. That's what the essence of what he's saying. If that's the case, well, I won't get in. I got to watch what I say. You know what? I don't want to bring people down, but I had this video for a while about Canada's healthcare system. Mr. Marks and Engels, Mr. Brain Surgeon. Let me find it. Well, I might have to go out to the studio. I'll play it one time. It's about the socialist system. Human misery. That's all it brings. In the guise of caring. Here. Before and after. It's a fact, folks. 23 months. 23 months. Marks and Engel would be proud.
It's been 2.5 years since my wife first fled Canada to save her life in the United States from stage 4 ovarian cancer after the Canadian healthcare system left her to die, where her only option would have been to kill herself on MAID because they had no treatment for her. They lied to her and said that the HIPEC surgery wouldn't ever save her life, but it did. They lost her chemo requisition, so she never got started on that. She didn't even meet her Canadian oncologist. It was always by a phone. Well, he was the guy that lost her chemo requisition too. And every time she went to the hospital begging for help in the ER because her lungs were filling in with fluid and she was drowning in them, they kicked her out and sent her home with opioids because they didn't have anybody there to drain her lungs. So now she's getting closer to death, and in a wheelchair, in a last-minute decision, she decides to try her luck in the United States. So now we're evacuating her from Vancouver Island on BC ferries to get her into a hospital in Seattle, where they immediately got her into the system, got her started on chemo, and gave her that life-saving HIPEC surgery. Well, during this time, I'm stuck in Canada because I'm not American and I can't just come here for no reason like that. I can't live here. So my wife decides to come back to Canada to be with her family. And during that time, she has another medical emergency and finds herself again in a Canadian hospital, rotting and dying and nearly about to go septic. So again, I have to unplug her from the machines and evacuate her by car and ferry back to the Seattle hospital. And she's sick as a dog, puking bile this whole time. They get her into the hospital, and guess what? She is about to go septic, and they give her immediate surgery and save her life. Again. But she comes back to Canada. And guess what? The cancer's coming back now. And so again, she has to leave. Over and over, this pattern continued until finally we decided enough is enough, and we got me a green card. We had to get the help of a Congress lady who rushed the entire process, start to finish, and I got a green card in less than 3 months. That's probably the fastest anybody's ever gotten a green card. Honestly. So here we are in Texas, and my wife continues to do really well getting state-of-the-art treatment. There's no MAID here. Nobody talks about death. And in fact, last week, my wife is doing so well on chemo. Well, she's had already 2 recurrences, and she's going into a third remission. She's back squatting 175 pounds for 5 in the gym just last week. Does that sound like somebody who's ready to die, Canada? Does that sound like somebody who needs to kill themselves with MAID? I am so grateful to be here in the United States. I am so grateful especially to be here in Texas. I love Texas. There's state-of-the-art healthcare. There's no waiting. There's no bullshit. There's no death cult here. Just good care. I'm so, so grateful to the United States. Thank you for my green card. Thank you for having me here where I can take care of my wife.
Now, see, kids in school should watch this video. Kids in school should watch this video. Instead of listening to those wicked and evil stolen land harpies that they've created, that badmouth our country. What happened with John Paul? I call him John Paul. I'm sorry. Pope Leo. What happened with Pope Leo? They're making memes of him like this. Blessed be the peacemakers, showing around body bags. Trump was clashing, at least I would say gently. You know, Mother Miriam did a video on just what I was saying, that you can disagree with the Pope and be in compliance with church teachings. He is just a man. I ought to get a copy of that video. You remember Mother Miriam. But anyway, here's John Paul. What happened to him? He's not very friendly and very nice, at least if you're a fly.
Su Santidad, queremos agradecerle por su visita y su apoyo. Estamos cumpliendo nuestras condenas y reflexionando sobre nuestros actos.
He looked down to make sure he was gone. You know, summer's right around. He looked down and made sure that fly was finished. But anyway, that was just a video. He came out today and made a statement that surprised me. Pope Leo urges Africans to improve their own countries instead of migrating. What do we always tell people? Go make your own country great again. Okay? The head of the Roman Catholic Church used to stop in Cameroon to deliver a blunt message to young Africans. Build your future at home, not abroad. Speaking to a university. Now, these universities aren't going to hear that. But, hey, help him get to every place he can with that same message. No, the Catholic Church, it's like I said, Todd, it's whatever his encyclicals, official writings of the church, okay, that the cardinals have gone over. Hi, Greg, how you doing? Yeah, well, you're going to be a kid about it. You can be here in the chats, no problem. Nobody's going to pick on you, but and I'll talk to you about Trump if you're an adult. Okay, I don't know you. You could be a 12-year-old, but maybe you're not. We'll see. You know, I had a video of this, but I'm not putting it up. Other creators are putting the video up. When I saw the video, I thought this was overseas somewhere. This guy in a turban. See him there? He's got that traditional Indian turban on. Mom Tommy's New York City. Teen. He's a teen? I didn't read this one. I saw the video and read another article, brief article. It didn't say it was a teen. Teen stomps on girl's head after she refused to give him her number. Wait a minute. It looked to me like he had a beard. I don't know too many teens with beards. I mean, I haired up kind of quick when I was a young man, but I didn't have no damn full beard when I was, well, maybe 18, but he body slammed her. The victim sustained a concussion and was transported by EMS to Harlem Hospital in stable condition. Prison and deportation. I don't care if he is a teen. New Gavin Newsom. What now, Gavin? He funded an NGO caught bringing in H.I.V. infected migrants to America. And I was sitting here complaining about stink bugs. A sweeping City Journal investigation is putting Gavin Newsom on the hot seat. Okay, Greg. You have to have a strong mind to read and comprehend the Bible. you have to have a pretty good intellect to be able to read and process the meaning of the stories. Here, Trump put out a quote right here that you might be interested in. Right? What did God say about nations that have gone astray?
I thought I'd bring up a subject of interest. I do a lot of this.
Wait a minute, that's another clip. Wait a minute. Let me find the right clip. Holy cow, let me make sure I got it in the studio. Here it is. I was going to say, oh man, I was at the last minute I was uploading this. I said, don't tell me I forgot to put it in the studio. Even Newsmax. Remember Trump scolded Newsmax? At the end, they get a little smart alecky. I'll explain it a little bit. But anyway, what did God say about nations that have gone astray?
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.
Well, supporters say it's a return to faith in American life, while critics argue that President Trump is blurring the line between church and state.
Critics say he's crossing the line between church and state. What line? Who drew a line between church and state? There is no line between church and state. There's nothing about that in the Constitution. The Marxists found a letter from Thomas Jefferson who said we need to build a wall between church and state to protect the church from the state. And they twisted that into there's a line between church and state. No, there's not. This nation was founded on Judeo-Christian values. I say mostly Christian. But, hey, everybody go, come on aboard. Here, what did I tell you about the Navy? Ayatollah agrees to surrender, but only if J.D. Vance wears this cute sailor outfit. Come on, J.D. You got to do what's best for the country. Y'all heard, this happened a couple of days ago. It's probably in a blue state. Breaking, Representative David Scott, a Georgia Democrat who is seeking his 13th term in Congress, 24 years, nearly a quarter century, has died at 80. Well, to paraphrase that one gangster, dead, I didn't even know he's sick. And it's true. I didn't even know he's sick. But you don't want anything like that to happen to people. But, there weren't reports of him being sick. What have you all heard about this Republican congressman who has disappeared? Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Radio silence. What is the story? Key GOP representatives still missing and unresponsive. Representative Tom Keene, a New Jersey Republican facing a tough re-election fight, has been absent from the House for weeks. Who's Tom Keene? Do you all know? And his GOP colleagues say they have not been able to reach him. I remember I was on the back 40 about 2 weeks ago doing some work, the back 40 feet, and I was listening to a press conference Trump was having, and he mentioned a congressman who was having heart trouble, and he went to Andrews Air Force Base, okay, and got treated. All right, what are we doing in the chats? Greg, that's the same thing Saul said. Read up on Saul to Paul. Okay. Saul to Paul. Maybe you'll have an event in your life that you'll find very helpful. As far as your spirituality. And why would you attack others' spirituality? If you don't believe, why is your business say anything to people that do? Yeah, the Bible's rock solid. What are you basing you're attacking the Bible, right? You're mocking the Bible. Why are you doing that? I can tell you what, these people right here, this is awful. They don't believe in the Bible either. Huh? You want to listen to this report? You know what kind of a world you have without God?
So a wild and frankly disturbing story out of the state of Utah. A transgender woman and her partner are accused of kidnapping her child, allegedly to go take her to Cuba and get gender reassignment surgery. Madeline Rivera live in Washington with more on this. Maddie, what do we know?
Hey, good morning, Bill. So the case prompted the Justice Department to send a government plane to Cuba to bring the 10-year-old child back to the U.S. Federal officials say the child's biological father, Rose Inessa Ethington, who's now a transgender woman, and her partner took the 10-year-old for what was supposed to be a camping trip in Alberta, Canada, late last month. But they never made it to their hotel or campground. Instead, after crossing the Canadian border, the couple allegedly flew from Vancouver to Mexico City. Then they took another flight from Mexico to Havana. All of this happening, by the way, without the knowledge and permission of the child's biological mother. Court documents don't state whether Rose and her partner were actually planning on getting the child gender-affirming surgery in Cuba, but the FBI says they found notes at the couple's home with instructions from a D.C. mental health therapist to, quote, send the therapist the $10,000 and instructions on gender-affirming medical care for children. Rose's partner had withdrawn that exact amount in late March, per the complaint. Family members of the 10-year-old boy say they were worried Rose had manipulated him to identify as a girl. Rose's brother tells the New York Times she had been pushing for the child to get transition surgery since he was 5 years old. This seemed to be clearly all be coming from Rose, Rose's brother says. It was heartbreaking and hard for me to see. Rose and her partner have been charged with federal international parental kidnapping laws. They'll face the remainder of their court case in Utah. Bill.
Well, that's experimentation on human beings. We need to talk to Cuba about that. Well, Greg, have you ever read the book of Job? Because if we can get into certain things about the Bible, that's fine. But my broadcast is mostly about the events that are happening today, and you are, whether you realize it or not, you're living in biblical times that there's going to be change in this world not seen since Charlemagne or Cyrus the Great. If you use those words, we're at the 127 mark. If you want to take those two scenarios there and do a little reading in history, as far as what Cyrus the Great had to do with the Second Temple and what Charlemagne did for Europe, okay? And that Trump, people are comparing Trump to the greatest leaders in world history. You can't deny world history. You can argue about the age of the earth. But let me get back to my point of the book of Job. God says to Job, notice, I'm paraphrasing, notice my most wonderful creation, the behemoth. The behemoth. He swings his tail like a palm tree. He eats from the leaves of trees in the mountains. The way he describes, what he describes, is a brontosaurus. A brontosaurus. And you can look on Utizel and you can see stone carvings of that are dated. Whoops, I'm trying to get that off my screen. That are dated and of Triceratops. Do you believe everything in carbon dating? Is that what you believe? Everything carbon dating shows you? So, so if you don't believe in the Bible, keep that to yourself. But what you're doing is you're making fun of people, and that's not allowed. Okay, keep your insults to yourself. You don't need to insult people. Yeah, Fox riding the fence, aren't they? I'm not a prophet. I'm not a prophet, Greg. I've always condemned false prophets. Now there are messengers. There are messengers. Because Jesus said every prophet is after him. Every prophet is a wolf in sheep's clothing. After Christ. Tell me if I'm not right, chat. After Jesus Christ. I'll tell you what, Greg, if you're listening to me, answer my question. Have you ever heard of Christian Prince? Are you a Muslim? Do you believe in the Quran? I'm trying to find out where you come from. John, welcome aboard, but please don't post in all caps. Okay? Yeah, that's right, Robert. He came after Christ, 600 years after Christ. Don't type it all caps, John. Appreciate it. It's not, they take that as shouting. And at some point it affects where they'll start taking posts down because they don't allow all caps in chats. So anyway, there are plenty of people who have not believed, and things happen in their life and they believe. And I hope you live a happy life, but I think you're going to have a difficult time if you. There you go, John. Thank you. Going to have a difficult time if you don't have an anchor for your spirit, your soul. I would like you to, Greg, on YouTube is very interesting stories. Maybe a good place to start exploring spirituality is looking at videos about Padre Pio, P-I-O, Padre Pio, okay? Yeah. I mean, what do you got to lose? Oh, okay, so you, it's a big difference between Islam and Christianity, I'll tell you that. Big difference. So you're making comments, judgments, and broad brush descriptions that are not accurate. A big difference between Islam and Christianity. So anyway, we're talking about the events of here and now, what's going to change in this country. People that have tried to deceive us, and they're going to be going to jail. Lots of them. You know? Here's Christina Aguayo. Put this guy up. Do you believe in C.I.A. operations? Don't put that in the chats because it's another thing. That's why I break it up, you know. Former C.I.A. operations officer Gary Bernstein breaks down operations called color revolutions, overthrowing governments, many times with Marxist ideology as the impetus. Step 1, build a massive planning team, hundreds of statisticians, mathematicians, engineers, and hackers. Spend up to a full year mapping out every county and precinct in the state. And it's a lot easier now with AI, right? They study past voter totals, turnout patterns, and where the audits are likely or unlikely to happen. They create a detailed target map. They pinpoint Republican strongholds, places where conservatives win big, like 70 or 30 or 68 to 32, but stay completely away from Democrat cities and strongholds. Shave small amounts of votes only in red areas. Instead, flipping thousands of votes in blue counties, which would look suspicious and trigger audits. They quietly reduce the conservative margin by a few percentage points in safe red counties. A 70-30 Trump or Republican win becomes a 68-32 or even closer. Nobody notices a small shift like that locally. Step 4, use different cheating methods at every location. These people are going to get caught and they're going to go to jail. The people that started the propaganda operation against Trump, the one that we most know about is Charlottesville. Here's the charges written right here for the Southern Poverty Law Center, one of many NGOs, okay, non-government organizations that spend hundreds of millions of dollars to put forth a narrative. Here's where they put forth messaging supporting things like the K and then the KK, okay? Anyway, and then say, donate to us so we can fight the K and then the KK, okay? But then they help them organize rallies along with other groups. Here's the charges.
On the right want to know when we're going to see progress in investigations of Brennan, Comey, Clapper, and perhaps given what we learned about his desire to ignore the intel community in 2016 and 2017 on the Russia issue, Barack Obama. What can you say to people tonight about the progress of these investigations? People want indictments and they want accountability for Crossfire Hurricane and the Russia investigation.
Sure. So what I can say is the same thing we've been saying all along. These investigations have to be done in secret. They cannot be done in the open, and not only because of grand jury secrecy, but it destroys the integrity of the investigation. We have great people working on all of these issues, really smart people, and we're going to continue to do that work. And when there's an appropriate time to talk about it, we will.
So now you've got.
Yeah, okay, just right off the top of his head. You have no evidence there was cheating in the Virginia. There's been cheating in Virginia ever since Barack Hussein Obama. It is so practiced. You know, how can you, Greg, this is a serious question. You have a state that is 49% Republican, 51% Democrat. Okay? That's not mythology. That's fact. Virginia, 49% Republican, 51% Democrat. How can you justify them trying to take a 5 Republican seat to 6 Democrat seat situation, 5 seats to 6 in a 49 to 51% state, and change it to a 10 Democrat seat to 1 Republican? Is that democracy, Greg, or have you been listening to me? Is that democracy? Am I showing you what democracy looks like? Is this what democracy looks like? Is this what democracy looks like? Is it fair to take a near evenly split state and put a 10-to-1 advantage in Congress for one party? See, people forget that it could come right back in their face one day if they don't stand up to it. Oh, Donald Trump's fault. They've been doing redistricting properly and sometimes improperly, but they've been doing redistricting since the 1800s. Don't evade a serious question by throwing a stupid little comment out like that. And, if you're exercising your brain to this degree, you definitely could never understand the Bible. So I think you're playing games because I think you're not that stupid. So answer the question. There's no state that Republicans did that to Democrats. Nowhere. But there's 10 states existing, which this is going to change. Now listen to me, Greg. There are 10 states where Democrats have all the representation in Congress and Republicans have zero. Did you hear me? 10 states that have zero representatives for Republicans and Democrats have all the representation. Even though there's 45% Republicans in most of those states. They have no representation. Is that what democracy looks like? Is that what democracy looks like? Tell me. Take a 50-50 state and make it 10-to-1. And blame Trump? Are you retarded? Have you got rocks in your head, mister? Answer the question. It's not legal. It's criminal. They worded. I put the ballot wording up. It was fraught with misdirection and lies. It was laughable if it wasn't so criminal. So these people are going to go to jail. So is that what democracy looks like, Greg? Virginia going 10 Democrat to 1 Republican in a damn near 50-50 state. 10-to-1. Answer the flipping question. What does Texas have to do with the price of tea in Mongolia? Quit falling back on that. You're a child. You're a child, and I've given you every chance in the book, but you're out of here, okay? Unless you want to redeem yourself, I'm going to throw you out. Answer the damn question. Is it fair to have 10 states with 0 Republicans in Congress? Is it fair for Virginia to have 10 Democrats to 1 Republican in a 50-50 state? Those two situations answer the damn question. And don't bring up Texas. What voters in Virginia? Saeed? Pedro? You know how many illegal aliens in Virginia? They have a motor voter law there. You don't have to show any citizenship. All you show is a driver's license. You're a gutless wonder. You're not even a man. Let me ask you this. Since you don't want to answer a question. You believe in socialism, Marxism? Answer me that. All right, you're out of here. Little commie coward that would give his country away and won't answer questions straight. A soy boy coward. So I gave you a chance in the book, and my chat was nice to you. Now you're gone. Now you're gone. There's your free speech. There's your due process. You traitor. You want to give your country away? Obama slammed for celebrating Virginia's controversial gerrymandering win. Look, that's great. I think it's great. Chats was nice to that character, whoever he was. He's probably 11 years old, picking lint out of his belly button and reading stuff from Hassan Piker. Mark Levin told Obama, "You're an unconscionable liar, Obama. You just disenfranchised hundreds of thousands of voters. Disgusting." There you go. Framing a clear attempt to gerrymander a huge advantage for Democrats in a purple state as an example of standing up for democracy is incredibly dishonest. Yet so on brand for Obama. Ain't that the truth? We gave him a chance, Cole. We always want to give people a chance if they can answer like an adult. Congratulations, Virginia. That's Obama. And then Ian Miller said, Barack Obama being a massive hypocrite. Well, who would have ever seen that coming? Matt Van Swal, you literally were railing against the exact same thing you are currently praising 5 seconds ago. Yeah. Here, he probably got himself fired up over AOC. She gets some miles on her. She's not as cute as she used to be, but that's okay. Republicans are trying to rig elections by only allowing U.S. citizens to vote. Representative Occasional Cortex. You know, Newsmax put this up. And I think they put it up about 2 weeks ago, too. DOJ targets 384 for denaturalization in expanded crackdown. And I said to myself, is that all? 384? I mean, they must be really out there. I mean, we should be denaturalizing and deporting anybody who's out here pushing Sharia law, pushing for speakers, blaring prayers at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know if people, I don't block them. I hide them so they can still watch. Maybe they'll learn something. I forgot what this video is about. Wait a minute. What's this? Man, I want to show you all some stuff about Spain, but let me see what's going on here.
What is going on? We spoke with several concerned voters here in the West San Fernando Valley who believe something wonky had been going on at places like El Camino Real Charter High School in Woodland Hills. This place opened up as an early polling location, open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily, but several people tell us they showed up to vote this morning in the special California governor recall election and were told that computers showed they had already cast their ballots. So what? Staffers, they say, were apologetic and helpful, but those voters we talked to are extremely concerned, suspicious, and wanting. California native and current West Hills resident, 88-year-old Estelle Bender, spoke with us just a short time ago.
What happened today and how shocked are you?
Very. I went to El Camino High School to vote, got there at 10:30, gave her this, and she scanned it and said, "You voted." And I said, "No, I haven't." And she said, "This has been happening all morning." The man next to me was arguing the same thing. So as I left, I did the provisional ballot and left. I was just really angry, and I saw two women walking toward me as I left, and I said, "Don't be surprised if they tell you you've already voted." And she said, "They've already done that." If I voted, how did I vote?
And who did you vote for?
Well, I asked the couple, the young women that I talked to, and I said, "Are you by any chance Republicans?" She said, yes. And I said, well, so am I. And so are the two friends that had the problem at VFW. So.
Makes you suspicious.
I would think so. And still, I'd like to know how I voted.
All right, take a look. The LA County Registrar's Office released a statement tonight following our inquiries. A spokesman says the voters who experienced this issue were offered and provided a provisional ballot, the fail-safe option to ensure no one is turned away from voting. Provisional ballots are regular ballots, and once the eligibility of the voter is verified, they are processed and counted. After troubleshooting the issue, the equipment at the locations was replaced and voting continued.
So, yeah, people like we just had in the chats, you can show them this stuff. Thousands of people will come up and honest, good people that have been turned away by their so-called representatives. And they just got screwed. And who's protecting them? Who can they go to? No one. No one. Because they're criminals, and they don't have your good in mind. And the people like what we just had in the chat, the person, you can show them that till their eyeballs fall out of their head, and they'll still deny it. They can look at the miracle of a sunrise and a sunset, of a newborn baby, or an ant, or an insect, or a flower, and look at the marvel of it, and still say there's no God. So for those people, what are we told? What are we told to do? You bring them the word. And if they turn you away, you shake the dust from their house off your feet and depart. For what is in store for them will be worse than the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. And that is a paraphrase, by the way. So anyway, folks, I'm going to leave you with this video. How do you flip a swing state? I don't know if that person's still watching. If maybe one day there's something that happens in your heart, or maybe you watch a little bit of Padre Pio, or you buy a book about, from Mother Miriam. You read about what other people's spirituality taught them. And maybe you'll have a moment. Come on back. Change your name. Come back. But anyway, folks, I'm going to play this video for you, and I hope you all enjoy it. About 5 minutes earlier, 4 minutes earlier, I put a link in the description for Buy Me a Coffee. I was so busy, I forgot even I had my bombs ready. Boom! Kapow! And I've got a link in this description for anybody that wants to help the channel out. And I do appreciate it. Wow, with the whole broadcast. I said thumbs up at the beginning. Please remember to give me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that too. Hey, folks, it just goes to show you, I'm not about clicks. I'm not about sensationalism. Okay? I see something sensational about like them trying to get John Brennan in to psychologically tamper with the jury, but make it look like Trump Justice Department is dropping the ball on Brennan. Oh, they twist it. Not me. I'll straighten it out if I can. So anyway, folks, what I say thank you for spending your precious time with me. And I hope you enjoy this video. So I should be broadcasting tomorrow night. If you're subscribed, you'll know when I go live. And everybody on Kick and Rumble, thank you so much for joining me. You all have a great night. Enjoy the video. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
Don't lie to me. The American public understands the difference between facts and fertilizer. This is insulting. It is insulting to the people who pay their hard-earned dollars and are asking their public servants to simply do nothing more than their job.
Mm-hmm. Robert, now you're in Pennsylvania, correct?
correct.
Is this not a Republican state?
The middle of Pennsylvania is a Republican state. You have Philly, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Erie, which are hardcore Democrats.
Right, but in the last election...
The fact of the matter is, you don't need to cheat in all 67 counties in Pennsylvania. Right. You only need to cheat in 1 or 2 to swing a swing state from red to blue or blue to red, if you know what you're doing. And if you have barcodes and a little program that can re-image a couple of ballots, you can swing Pennsylvania from red to blue, which means you can swing the Senate from red to blue, which means you can swing the presidency from red to blue or blue to red, whichever your preference is. But cheating is cheating, and it's a very sophisticated network, and it's, all in a black box. Not many people know how a computer operates. I don't even know how they all operate, but I do know what to look for. And when you look for stuff and you find it, you report it. And when you report it, you expect action.